Today I'm going to review a huge game that had so much hype leading up to its release, and then it got a nice sequel and a re-release on PS4 consoles. Originally it had a DS version, which became the full version of Ni no Kuni, The Wrath of the White Witch. And this was a game that was so hyped around it because it's got all the beautiful art pieces of the classic... Who was it? Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, or Ghibli, I've heard once, animation, who you may know from, like, Howl's Moving Castle, and that one Lupin movie that I only recently found out is a Lupin movie, and, other classics, My Neighbor Totoro, and other movies that I've never seen. So I guess the fact that I've never seen a Ghibli movie, and I've never played Ni no Kuni, leads me as very qualified to review it. So, overall, it takes about 2 hours to get to the gameplay. You spend a lot of time dicking around 1950s Detroit as an 8-year-old kid. This is actually a thing that you do. And you want to make a car, and you want to get into the car-making business with your best friend, and it's really awkward because I know what happens to Detroit after 1950s, and these kids aren't going to have jobs in 15 years. But good for them for having dreams. So in the meantime... The boy and his little friend are trying to make their own car and make it go vroom, but they're kind of not the most intelligent people. And then, main character boy's, what's your name? Toby? Oliver. I was close with Toby. Oliver, well, his mom just drops dead one day. And then little Mr. Drippy pops out with his most mediocre Robin Williams impression, telling him, well, it's alright, because your mother's a great sage in the world where I come from, where it's an alternate world and everyone's got linked identities and souls. So you gotta go find the soul of the person who your mother has a linked soul to, and go save her? So you go to this world, and everyone there has souls linked to the souls from your world, which is interesting, but then you find out it's a lot like classic Disney or Ghibli movies, where it's just got anthropomorphic animals for no reason, which is cute. But then there's like your best buddy back home, his soul is linked to the soul of literally a mouse. So when one of them dies, usually the other dies. But he's a mouse. So I don't think your buddy back home has much of a lifespan or a good life ahead of him. Either he's gonna die or he's gonna become a destitute hobo after the freaking the car development crash in Detroit. Like, this kid's screwed. And so eventually you start learning that the combat system in this game is Pokemon clones, which is interesting, and the mana system is mediocre, and the combat overall works kind of well. Because you kind of work like a Pokemon trainer, and Oliver himself will throw out his own little creatures that you catch, and then eventually you get another party member, and they have their own creatures, and it's like, okay, it's starting to get complicated. Oh no, there's a third party member slot. That's not good. And so you play your good 25, 30 hours of the game as 3 party members, and then all of a sudden this guy backhands you, and he's like, bam! I'm in your party now! And I'm just an alternate version of Oliver. Not like literally alternate universe, but like mechanics-wise, he fills the same role as Oliver, and you can't remove Oliver from your party. So it's like, you could have 2 healer mages, but you'd have to take out, say, for instance, your thief in order to do it, so it's a weird idea. And we also found out that, as I mentioned, there was a DS version, which got remade into Wrath of the White Witch, but in the DS version, there was no White Witch, it was just Wrath. I mean, it wasn't. It was about... So for the first, 4/5 of this game, there's a different boss that you're fighting. Basically, the White Witch is, main henchman. This evil, dark wizard goon man. And he was the final boss of the original game. And then, so they basically just tacked on 1 chapter to this game. White Witch! And that's basically what the new chapter is. You just walk up to her castle, and then you talk to her, and then you slap her in the face a little bit, and game's over. And the game really felt like the last chapter was added on, because no one had talked about, heard of, or seen the White Witch until pretty much the end. And then when you beat the big wizard guy, there's literally a celebration, and towns are cheering, and It's kind of weird because, it's called Wrath of the White Witch. Where's the White Witch? So, it's kind of obvious that the game's not over when everyone's celebrating, and it's a little weird. So, overall, I think it was alright, but I don't know if you need no Kuni in your life. A solid 3 out of 5. Would not play remake. Might listen to someone play the sequel, though.